Child sacrifice has been a part of human history since the ancient days. There are records and depictions of such terrible acts in cultures around the world. Offerings made to gods in times of strife and terror, hoping to earn their forgiveness and mercy. The child as a sacrifice was meant to be a powerful one, because it was the loss of someone irreplaceable and precious. And to this day, the idea that a child belongs to the parents they were born to still persists. It's why parents in divorces may sometimes resort to murder rather than part with their children. In Silent Hill, child sacrifice is the cornerstone of many powerful spells, but the power doesn't seem to come from the child itself. It is not the fact of their young age or vulnerability that powers the spell. Instead, it appears that it is the relationship between the sacrifice and the one performing it that powers the magic. Silent Hill Homecoming confirms this to be the power behind the spell protecting the town from Silent Hill. It is the parent and child bond that makes the sacrifice powerful, and that's why the parents of the children must be the ones to kill them. It is also an eerie coincidence that the method of death for Alex in one of the bad endings, drowning in a bathtub, is a common method of murder for parents of small children. Silent Hill 4 doesn't deal with child sacrifice, but it does focus on using lives to power a spell. Each person killed for the sacraments is bound to Walter in some way, someone he knows, who means something to him or represents a concept in his mind. The bond between the two people is important to the spell. Killing randomly wouldn't have the same effect. It's not far-fetched to imagine that Alessa's spell is powered in a similar way, since she too is killed by her mother. But it is certainly a different scenario. The other two spells kill people to create magic. In this case, Dahlia uses her daughter as a vessel to give birth. It's the birth that will kill her. The implication seems to be the power of the spells comes from the emotions involved: betrayal, heartbreak, loss. Killing someone you know and even love is far harder than killing a stranger, and doing it purposefully even more so. That is likely why it appears prominently in a biblical text, the Binding of Isaac, in which God tells Abraham to sacrifice his son. Abraham loves his son and laments the decision, but ultimately forces himself to go through with it because God asked it of him, only for an angel to appear and stop him at the last moment. It was a test to prove Abraham's love and loyalty to God, because to choose to sacrifice your own child is the ultimate sign of loyalty. Child sacrifice is mentioned throughout the Abrahamic texts. The Bible mentions it dozens of times, most famously in the Binding of Isaac, but elsewhere as well. In fact, most of the Bible disagrees with the concept, describing child sacrifice as a horrible and inhumane practice, condemning its practice by other cultures in the region. Leviticus outright bans it, and depending on the translation, the text describes these sacrifices as being made to false gods or demons. It's an interesting connection between child sacrifice and demons, one that exists in Silent Hill too. The god being summoned by Dahlia resembles Baphomet for one, a demon of the arcane traditions. But more than that, the symbol associated with the summoning appears very like a demon sigil. The halo of the sun is associated with the ritual to summon God by multiple sources. Most obviously, Silent Hill Origins places it beneath Alessa's burning body, implicating it as part of the ritual. But there's more. The symbol first appears in Silent Hill 3, the game which focuses most on the god's birth. The halo itself contains writing, which includes Rosavira's text, that reads the names of Dahlia, Alessa, and Incubus, likely referencing the final boss monster. This implies the symbol was created for this spell, and it confirms that the mother-daughter bond is important to the god's birth. The symbol's design in some ways resembles a demon sigil. A sigil is a symbol representing a demon, used in demonology to summon said creature or to call upon them for magic. Various texts, like the Lemegeton, assign certain symbols to certain demons. All are circular, with an inner and outer circle, surrounding arcane symbols that relate to the demon being summoned. It's possible that the halo of the sun is a specialized demon sigil, summoning the god of the cult. This implies the god really is a monster rather than a god, as does the need for child sacrifice. Older cultures saw it differently, but today child sacrifice is seen as a monstrous practice. Only a demon could need a child sacrifice to be born. There are a lot of symbols in the halo of the sun. Many of them are alchemical, implying an alchemic transformation is taking place with the spell. In a way, Dahlia is attempting to transform her daughter into God's vessel, from a human to a monster. There are also ancient runes and the names we've discussed, but there are in addition 4 mysterious symbols on the outer ring. In Homecoming, these 4 symbols are assigned to the 4 founding families. They perform child sacrifices as well, in order to protect themselves from the evil of Silent Hill. Each uses a different method of death, which represents the 4 elements. Drowning is water, burial is earth, suffocation is air, and cutting is fire, because of the burning pain. In magical traditions, cutting with a knife is associated with fire for just such a reason. The 4 elements are a cornerstone of magic and alchemy, and all 4 exist in this spell. Alex's family is water, and represented by the trident. It would be easy to assume this is because the trident is often associated with water due to Poseidon, but in this case the symbol seems to be something else. Something that looks almost exactly like it appears on a document called the Urbain Pact, and much like the contracts the 4 families wrote, the Urbain Pact is said to be a deal written between a human and a demon. Urbain Grandier was a French Catholic priest who was accused of witchcraft and burned at the stake in 1634. One of the pieces of evidence against him was a letter written in reversed Latin, which was said to be a covenant between him and nearly half a dozen demons, whose signatures were at the bottom of the letter. One of the signatures is a near replica of the trident symbol from the halo of the sun, the symbol for Satan. And in fact, the halo also has letters written in reverse, a tradition that stems from magical history. A piece of the halo of the sun is quite literally Satan's signature, cementing the connection between this symbol and demonology. It also means the Shepherd family symbol is the signature of the devil, symbolizing the deal with the devil the family has made to protect the town. Silent Hill has a clear opinion of child sacrifice and the people who perform it. In every instance, the child sacrificed becomes the reason for their parents' death. In the first Silent Hill, whichever version of the final boss appears, it is their magic that leads to Dahlia's death. It appears almost accidental, but clearly implies Dahlia is finally being punished by the one she wronged most. In Homecoming, it's far more obvious. The monsters that the sacrificed children become seek out and kill their own parents. But to some extent, it seems as if a conscious acknowledgement of their bond is required first. The monsters only seek out and kill them when Alex finds the parents and speaks to them about their children. He forces them to acknowledge and recognize the evil of what they'd done, and only then do the children arise for their revenge. The bond is still very important. Recognizing the betrayal for what it is what allows the child to rise up again. The only parent who is not purposefully or inadvertently killed by their offspring is Holloway, the only one who doesn't see her actions as evil or wrong. Her bond with her daughter is completely broken, erased by her sense of duty to a perverse god. So it is Alex, not her child, that kills her. Alex kills his own parents in some way. He allows his mother to die or ends her suffering, and watches as his father is killed by a monster who to this point has been something of an indifferent guardian to him, a monster he can literally become in the end of the game. In a way, it's almost as if Alex killed his father himself.